everybody. Welcome back to Birdies and Banter. I'm your co-host, Patrick from the MPP Live podcast, and that's my co-host, Derek Al from the Chronicles from the Upper Deck podcast. And we are here to preview the last major
Oh,
of the PGA Tour season.
I said maybe, it's gonna make me crazy. You're my wonder wall. See, Patrick was seeing that on the flight back from Japan, and I know my brother had a good trip with his wife and a couple of his friends. So we held it down. I don't know if you listened to the show, chapter 50. Hey, you were probably asleep
Couldn't
that
couldn't
flight.
get it in Japan, yeah.
Spotify's
No,
available.
no streaming rights.
But good to have you back, brother, to wrap up this season.
Yep.
And this season's kind of been the one out of like left field because there's been so many players who have been in form, right? And then they dip, and then we get so many guys in form. So usually, by the time the last major is here, which is the Open Championship, usually it's pretty predictable on who's going to win it. First time in like a few years, I have no clue who's gonna win this thing, man. And you're the 11th time we got it at Royal Birkdale, underrated championship golf course at Southport, England, the home of Tommy Fleetwood. And man, those fairways, dude. Ooh, it's got the ball's gonna be driving like Lando Norris or bouncing like a basketball court,
Yeah.
or maybe on a cricket field too. But yeah, they're crispy, and it's gonna, your 200-yard iron shot's gonna go down 250, 260. So I'm very intrigued by some of the changes they made too. I think they like reversed par fives and they made a new par five to par three. I know they changed like five holes, I believe. So it should be an interesting test. Sucks that we're not getting like the conditions that we love to see at the Open, like the 30-mile-per-hour winds, the rain. But I think you're gonna expect some tempers to be flaring just because guys are going to hit perfect tee shots that are going to end up at some silly places. And that's what we love, seeing the best players in the world get tested. So it should be a good Open Championship, but it might be England. It might be coming home in the World Cup, and I know they might move up tee times on Sunday to accommodate that. But the other thing is, what if Tommy Fleetwood's in the final group? Matt Fitzpatrick, Justin Rose. Uh-oh. One of those guys I just said might be one of my picks that we'll mention on a later show. I'm looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be an exciting week.
Yeah, super exciting. Like going back on what you said on, I think the winners of the majors this year, other than even like Rory winning at Augusta, that was a surprise because
Yep.
we just kind of wrote them off like he won the Grand Slam last year, and to have him win again this year was something unexpected. Then you got Aaron Rai winning the PGA champ. Then you got Wyndham Clark, who only wins US Open. So excited for this year. Not like last year where we just got Rory and Scotty winning, which is insane as well. But um, yeah, it should be interesting on who comes out on top. We'll talk about who has won since the US Open, and maybe one of those winners are one of my picks, huh?
Uh-oh, uh-oh.
Yep,
Also want to give a shout out to the LPGA Tour. Hyron Ryu has won her second straight major, won the Evian in the most craziest fashion. She shot a 60 on a Saturday, which is insane. Had a hole in one, I think, as part of that. And then almost gave up the lead because Brooke Henderson was playing like out of her mind. An eagle, an
three
eight,
Eagles.
and an eagle. And then I think it came down to the sudden death, went to a sudden death playoff. Brooke missed the green, and Ryu made it. And yeah, I think this. I read the stat. I think it's the first season that the LPGA Tour has had two players win two consecutive majors, which has never been done. And I know they got the AIG coming up in a few weeks, so it should be exciting. But like I said, I know Patrick's catching up on his Z's. We already talked about Wyndham Clark, what he did at the U.S. Open. You heard that on Chapter 51 there on the Chronicles from Neighbor Deck podcast. Travelers Championship, Victor Hovland came out of like nowhere.
Yep.
And then Scotty Scheffler's putter went missing again. And Brandel Chambly, shout out to him. We don't really say his name too much on the show, but he said that Scotty has not had a 54-hole lead this year at all. He's always been behind the pack. And obviously Victor came out on Monday morning, made that putt. Scotty just like blitzed it by the hole.
Yep.
Uh, So yeah, another one for Victor Hovland who just comes out of nowhere and wins these events. The John Deere was interesting. Chris Gotterup was the lowest, or yeah, the lowest ranked player in the field, and just messed around, shot a 62, and got another one, his third win of the year. Um, yeah, I mean, what an incredible finish that was. I believe it was Ben Coles, I want to say, that was
Yes.
contention on 18, just hit. I think he hit a decent iron shot, but I think just too much left hand. And obviously, when you're trying to chase that first win in the water, and Chris Goddard, man, looking like he's becoming the real deal this year. Kind of reminds me of Ben Griffin just ascending at the right time like Ben Griffin did last year.
Yep.
So Chris already 3 wins. He's in the Player of the Year conversation. And another guy that's been playing really well as of late, and who knew U.S. Open final qualifying would get this guy back to where he needs to be and where we want him to be. Tom Kim played stellar golf,
Yep.
won the Genesis Scottish Open. I guess is rocking sunglasses now behind the hat. Did not know that, but
I don't know.
the Tom Kim Express is off and rolling, and it's a President's Cup year. You know how much that event means to him, and how he's a very fiery guy on the international team. And I low-key want the international team to win. It's been too long since I think it's been like 20 plus years since they've won or no, I'm sorry, we're going back even for like 25 plus years since they won the President's Cup. So hopefully they get done in Medina in September. And then the ISCO Championship. Stephen Fisk won. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not watch this.
Did not watch it.
I know Lucas Glover was in the mix, so I
Yep.
want to give Stephen Fisk his flowers. Won in a sudden death playoff over Taylor Pendriff. I think this is Fisk's second win in less than a year. He won in the fall at the Sanderson Farms Championship, but hey, gets an extended 2 year exemption.
Yep. A win's a win, you know?
One's a win. Yeah, and Aaron Wise, remember Aaron Wise? I
Oh
know
yeah, I remember.
good finish for him, tied for third. I know Lucas Glover was in control and then just shot one over on the back. But Lucas Glover, the ageless wonder, he's kind of found a new lease on life, and that is it up until this week. And then we got an event in Dominican Republic, Punta Cana, the Kraus Punta Cana Championship. So
Yep.
we'll mention that too next week in our championship
With
recap
all the
show.
crazy winds. It's always like blowing 35 miles per hour for this tournament. I don't know why people want to go there, but I know, none of the everyone's playing in the open, so that's
Right.
why you go to what is it, Puerto Rico?
Dominican Republic, yeah.
Dominican Republic. So, that's why everyone goes there and try to get their win for the season. But yeah, I totally forgot about some of those tournaments, Like even like Scotty, right? Like Norway fans was also there for the World Cup, so cool to
Oh,
see Norway
bro.
show out for Hovland even on a Monday finish. But
Yeah.
the two putts that Scheffler missed, the one on 18 that he did blow it by the hole on that one, but
Mhm.
he made it. But Monday he did the exact same thing and blew it by the hole and more or missed it. So I don't know. I mean, you were true. This is the last major where you said that Scotty Scheffler wasn't going to win this year. So that may become true. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's totally weird. But he's still, I would say he's still the top player in the game. Like you always got to watch out for him.
And
So
the thing is, he's been getting like top 10 finishes left and right. I think he's like top three in FedEx Cup standings, I want to say.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just the matter of putting the pieces together, which we've seen it in spurts, but not like for a full week. And this Player of the Year race is wide open. I mean, Wyndham Clark's in the mix, Cameron Young also in the mix. We can't forget about the young Cameron. And no pun intended right there. And then also Chris Goddard up with 3 wins, Matt Fitzpatrick with 3 wins. It's wide open. It's anybody's race to win, and they could one of those guys could get a stamp on it, get a second major of the year, or get a fourth win in a major. But yeah, I don't expect those guys to. Maybe one of them will kind of pop out, but like I said, this is a wide open week, man, and I think
yeah.
like anybody can win this.
I felt like in the beginning of the year it was maybe like four guys, like you said, like
Mhm.
Goddard won twice already before we got to the first major or even the
Yeah,
players, and then Cameron Young was just on a tear for like a month there. It
yeah.
felt like so. Now those guys, they kind of quietly just played golf in the majors in the middle, but now, towards the end, see how they do in this major and then for the FedEx Cup playoffs. So, yeah, should be fun. And what we got media picks right now or
Oh
what are
yeah,
we
media
going?
picks. So I'm not going to pick this guy because shout out to Isaac Flores, and we've got to start this next year. Winner gets to play a round of golf, or maybe do it overall standings if somebody gets on the board. You know what I'm saying? But that's for the off season
Yeah,
in
season
December.
three, you know.
Season three, I will pick it up. But I Flowers 831 picked Matt Fitzpatrick, and listen, Matt Fitzpatrick, he's going to be a popular pick this week. We know why,
Yeah.
3 wins. But obviously looking for that second major. But that's the thing. He hasn't really showed up in the majors. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's made the cut, but he hasn't been a factor in them. Tied 18th at the Masters, tied 14th at the PGA, 22nd at the U.S. Open. But his putter's been getting hot. And I think this has probably been his best putting year that I've seen. He has 4 top 10s. He can hit a low ball flight as well, and try and probably hit a lot of irons off the tee. But if he can just get himself in the mix on Saturday and Sunday, I think he's going to be dangerous. But yeah, we just haven't seen him enough in the big events, excluding the players when he was just thrusted into the spotlight with Cam Young. But yeah, he's going to be a very popular pick, and I'm assuming the bookies in England too, because I know they like to bet some coin there.
Yeah.
He's going to be at least one of the top 5 picks to win the Claret Jug.
Yeah, it seems like he's always had a his best week right after the major. Like
Mhm.
what the one after the players, I forgot what it is, but
Valspar, yeah, he's
Valspar, yeah, he
Valspar.
was on a tear that week. So also Scotty, didn't he lose it? Or am I thinking about RBC?
RBC, he beat him
Yeah,
in a playoff, yeah, which
yeah.
is crazy
So
too.
and then he won with his brother. So,
Yeah,
you know, um yeah, all the events after majors, he's doing well. So now he's in his home country of England. So hopefully the crowd is definitely going to be behind him in this one. And yeah, should be I don't see why Fitzpatrick doesn't get a top 10 here.
I think so. Yeah, he's due to at least have a good week in the majors, and because I think he's on the cusp of getting that second major. It's just a matter of the piecing it all together on the Saturday and Sunday. Because I feel like he's kind of in between. He's getting himself in there, and then a bad Saturday, bad Sunday, then he's getting your top 15, top 20 finish. So
Yeah. All right. On to our picks. This is what we, do the podcast for is these picks. So, didn't get to say it in the recap show, but Derek and I both picked Wyndham Clark last major for the US Open. So, our first dub, first player, to win when we actually choose the player. So, hopefully we
yeah.
can go, at least one of us go back to back here. So, Derek, if you want to go first, go ahead.
So what I mentioned in the beginning of the show right now that you're watching while the Open's going to start, I did mention that a lot of pressure on these English guys, and a lot of these guys have been in and out of form, in and out of form, in and out of form, right? So 2 of them are going to be Englishmen, both sentimental stories, both have connections to Royal Birkdale. I'm just gonna go with uh, the third guy on this list. That's going to be Justin Rose. Listen, I know it was heartbreak at the Masters on the 12th hole when he was in between a chip and a putt, and then he chipped it, and then we saw what happened. Another chance at a green jacket go away. But back in 1998, he was just this 18-year-old kid when he holed out at the 72nd hole, and he, you know, hopped onto the golf spotlight and never looked back. Finished tied for fourth, got low am honors that week. Finished a couple shots back of Marco Mira. But in the past 3 years, 9 top 16 results in major championships. Um, and I feel like he's peaking. He has no worse than an 11th in a major this year. Three T12 finishes in the past 5 starts. I mean, that would be kind of a storybook ending to an amazing Hall of Fame career because he has the U.S. Open, has a major champion or has an Olympic gold medal. But yeah, Rosie is going to be third on that list, and to be able to cap it off, like I said, where his career took off. Um, on 18 at Roebuck. That would be an amazing moment. And perhaps maybe we could make it Harry Kane, huh? Might be coming home to England. All right. And the number two pick, the guy grew up on the other side of town, just literally a couple miles away from this, and that is Tommy Fleetwood. England, this is a big sporting week for England, might be the biggest in this century. We got the World Cup this week. We'll see if England can dethrone the champs, Argentina. And then you know how nuts Sunday would be if it's England versus España. I mean, come on, man. The beers will be flowing. You might have to move these tea times up to 5:30 in the morning because it's gonna be happening in England. But Tommy Fleetwood, I think, will keep the fans there. Um, Perfect fit for this course. Yeah, obviously his stat besides the clothing, what clothes he's gonna wear, right? He's lost strokes to the field twice, but he's had four sensational starts: T4, T11, T11, T14. Man, I think if this is it, another storybook, the guy grew up down the road from there. A lot of the kids, I know he has a golf academy in that part of the world in England and also Dubai. But man, that would be an amazing moment to have him win at his home in his hometown, his home course, his first major. I think he's one of the most beloved players in the world today. So I can see the script, but we're not going to do the script. The reason why I said Chris Goddard's name earlier this in this show, finished third at Port Rush. You know, Came out of nowhere at the John Deere Classic. I think it was just trying to find that form that we saw earlier this year.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he shot at what, 62 that I mentioned. But he had a slow Sunday at the Renaissance Club at the Scottish Open, but he loves links golf. I think he's kind of embraced it. I feel like everything's setting up for him to have a breakthrough week to just finally put himself on the map. I think his iron game is strong. I think he's not the type of guy that goes for pins necessarily a links course, but you gotta, this course is gonna be all about using your imagination, trying to use the mounds and the slopes and have your ball check up right near the hole. I think Chris Goddard's gonna get it done and finally break through to get that major and become a superstar of the sport.
Yeah, pretty good picks there. I would say, Justin Rose, always a class act, and for him to
Yeah.
win in England, it would be amazing. And so is Tommy Fleetwood. We did see him break through, win the FedEx Cup last year, that
Yeah.
tournament, 30 guys, but he's still, I don't know, I don't want to say, but he's still searching for a win that, that's like this magnitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I want to see him win again. He got over the hump for the first win, but can he get over the hump for the second win, maybe on his home turf? And that would be amazing. And then Chris Goddard up. I picked Chris Goddard up as well. So, yeah, Chris Goddard is one of my three picks, and I'll just give you some stats since Derek just went on. But T43 at the U.S. Open, T30 at the Travelers, first place at the John Deere, and then T11 at the Scottish Open, where he did win the Scottish Open last year, so
Mm.
he's definitely proved himself to play European golf. So he's also number nine total strokes gained and number 10 in strokes gained off the tee, which is very, you definitely need to be accurate when the fairways get as crispy as they are now. Um, and he definitely has a real shot to win this week, I would say. So, Chris Gotterup, one of my picks. Wanted to say that before I say everything, as well. Said this is the last major. I picked all my guys, for the whole major, so it's kind of slim pickings here. But that's the challenge I gave myself this year, and I'm probably going to do it next year because it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
A lot more strategy to it. But I'm going with another European guy, Derek. I'm going with Robert McIntyre.
Oh, that's a dark horse there, brother.
Yeah, I feel like he's always near the top in majors, never he always sniffs the top of the leaderboard at some point during the week. But never really pulls through. But he's a European guy till he dies from Scotland, so T39 at the US Open, T10 at the Travelers, and tied for third last week at the Scottish Open. And he's number nine in the world strokes gained putting. So definitely with the all the bumps and ovulations and of the greens, you definitely need putting at this course. And I did say I was gonna pick a winner from the last 4 weeks, so I
Oh,
picked Chris Goddard up. That's
yeah,
one, and I'm
yeah.
picking another winner, Tom Kim. I'm going for the back-to-back 2 weeks in Europe for the guy. He also has more wins now, two more wins than Ludwig Ober. I don't know if you saw that stat. Same age, more wins, more titles. So a little sneaky stat there if you're an Ober fan. Tom Kim, winner last week at the Scottish Open, third at the US Open, and T46 at John Deere last 3 weeks. So, number five strokes gained approach to the green, and number one in scrambling, which is kind of crazy since he kind of just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so those are my three picks: Tom Kim, Robin McIntyre, and Chris Gotterup.
Chris needs to change. If he wins, my song's gonna be squabble up, dun 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 dun. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with any of those picks. I think Tom Kim, his confidence is trending in the right direction. I mean, it was tough to see. I know Full Swing showed a little bit of it, just struggling with this game. I mean, believe it or not, he's been a pro for like 8 years now, or 9 years, because he's 24.
Yeah.
I mean, holy moly. So I think that hit him hard when he was struggling a little bit playing on these opposite field events because I know he belongs on the big stage. He belongs in, playing in the Players, you're on a Palmer Invitationals, yada yada. Bobby Mack, I think he has the game to win it. I'm just not sure. Yeah, because sometimes he can lose his temper a little bit. And I think he kind of reminds me of John Rahm pre-winning like the Masters and the US Open, where I think if he just can be consistent at these big events, because sometimes, I mean, we see him, at the U.S. Open last year, he finished runner-up, and then we don't see him like another 4 or 5 months. He may cut, sure, but he's not up there in the first page of leaderboard. So I'd love to see that more from Bobby Mack going forward, because like I said, he's a guy that he loves the spotlight as well. He loves big time golf. And what can you say more about Chris Goddard? This is his time to shine. I think goal for this week though is just to get him in the top five, and like I said, not have all this form going into like the Masters, and then he's nowhere to be found. So we'd love to see him win, and like I said, become a new star in the game.
Yeah, so those are our picks for the Open, Royal Birkdale. I still gotta go overseas and play golf over there in Scotland, England, St. Andrews, that'd be the dream. So,
Yeah.
um, gotta do that in the future for sure. But PGA Tour is gonna get a new schedule, next year,
Dun, dun, dun,
supposedly.
dun.
Yeah, so I feel like we're gonna have a lot to talk about next year before the first major. And of course we'll do a recap of the Open, but just a little preview for next year. I think we're gonna keep this going. Year two, so
Yeah, that requires its own like Venn diagram because the Challenger series and then you have the Championship series, and then
there's a G
if it
League
all
now.
lines up, out of you've got I don't know if our fans have watched the golf magazine video of they did of the Institute, which is this ultra executive golf course just off of Highway 101 in Morgan Hill, San Martin area. They said they're in line for a tournament. Could it be a Challenger series? I don't know. I'm trying to figure the difference between a Challenger series and the champ because these guys, PJ Tour wants to go to more bigger
Yeah.
markets, which, okay, I agree with. You got to put your big stars in the mark, where the markets have the most eyeballs, right? How does San Francisco get an event? Because Pebble Beach is kind of in that territory, so. It's going to be intriguing to see. And also, what I like, the Tour Championship's going to be rotating, which is phenomenal. You
And
got to
match
get
play.
it. And match play too, which is also phenomenal. I think
So fun.
that will help out the U.S. in the Ryder Cup. Let's go. So, yeah. But in the meantime, well, it might be some happy faces on Sunday because we're doing this right before England plays Argentina.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There might be
Who
if
you
we get
got?
In the game, ooh,
We've
let's
already
see.
talked about enough golf, you know. Let's
Yeah.
get down to the real business here.
I mean, Messi, they've been like the cardiac kids, and say what you want about VAR and, some calls that, kind of didn't go against their way. I think Capo Verde woke their asses up like no other because I think, oh, we're gonna strive it in, and then
Steamroll them, yeah.
they steamroll them, and Capo Verde played their butts off. Probably one of the best World Cups in our lifetime. I picked Spain though to win it all, so Spain is gonna
Oh,
win it. I did pick them way
and
before
the
way before
nice.
because Yamin Lamar is the next he's the next face of
It's
football.
good.
Um, but I can't bet against Messi. You know what I mean? I think this is the best thing. I'm really surprised England made it this far. I was impressed with what they did against Mexico in the round of 16, going down 10 men for 60, 50 plus minutes.
Yeah,
And just, I know they have like basically the height advantage over Mexico when it came to those crosses. But I was just really impressed with their poise. That could have just broken the world. You
yeah,
could have seen the headline on the Sun magazine, what
yeah.
happened.
We definitely
Uh,
could have seen Mexico in this position.
yeah,
It could have been Argentina versus Mexico for sure.
yeah.
Um,
But I'm gonna say 3-2 Argentina, and then in the final, I think Spain is just gonna dominate from,
I think after Spain's dominating performance today versus France, I mean, come on. France was like me watching France, it's like watching, 2017 Warriors, It was like everything was so smooth, but France didn't really show up today and Spain looked amazing. So I want to see Spain, Argentina, of course. That's gonna gain all the viewers.
yeah,
So uh man, I think Spain's gonna win it as well, but I would love to see Messi go back to back. This is probably his last World Cup, even though everyone said last World Cup was his last. But
that was a perfect
uh,
ending to Qatar. But the dude's just turned back the age of time, bending father time as we speak. And Curtis and B Leon, you'll be happy we talk and talk about this podcast because you guys do it for 40 minutes every day at work. So we love you guys. Um, but I'm intrigued by the halftime show because apparently
there's like 10 people before me.
this is going to be a half an hour halftime show, which, if for those guys, the locker room, NFL players are used to it because it's Super Bowl, right? That's only like 15 minutes, but there's going to be a half an hour halftime show. I get you got to have the heavyweights, you got to have Madonna, Shakira, BTS, Bieber. Coldplay is going to have a little part of it, right? But
Isn't JB playing too?
yeah, Bieber, yeah, he's playing. And then they got a closing ceremony with Tom Cruise involved and I Show Speed. So I think it's going to test both teams because you got to be patient for all the Hollywood production because this is not going to happen in any other World Cup besides ours, of course. We
Yeah,
have to
of
do it
course.
way over the top that it needs to be. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's going to be. I know the game starts at noon, so could we see Fleetwood holding the Claret Jug? And which, by the way, we have not had an English winner since Sir Nick Faldo did it back in 1992, I believe. So
Yeah.
some droughts might end in England. We got that drought, and then obviously the 60-year drought, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna be playing Wonderwall on IG, Facebook, Twitter, Threads. Yeah,
Um, but yeah, little World Cup preview for
the
everyone.
little
If you made it this far in this preview of the Open. The World Cup preview. So yeah, thank you to everyone for viewing, listening this year. Of course, we got the recap video next week, but should be a fun Open Championship at Royal Birdies.